Also, because you're still, you learn to give more gratitude. And
If I'm in office, I want to come back home to my kids. If I'm at home, I want to go to the office.
also think about what is it that I really love doing, because I was given a chance to stand back. My marketing manager, she's so on the ball.
Hi, Mr. Tahiliani. Thank
Hello,
you.
Mudita. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I have actually really come to enjoy the lockdown,
Yeah.
except for what I'm seeing and what I fear is the ensuing bloodbath now.
Yes.
But just as a simple time to be forced to rest and
Mm-hmm.
to slow down and to reevaluate, it's been
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. And
It would never cross my mind ever to take this much time off. I mean, I've worked from home, but it's never the same thing, you know?
yeah, this is like a obviously it's a forced situation. It's a forced situation for everybody. But I know that you are perpetually traveling. So this must be, I mean, not welcome, but it is a break nonetheless for you.
Well, it was welcome because I've never spent so much time in this house. I
Hmm.
have never enjoyed the garden as much. It is very lucky that, I live
Yeah.
in a house with a garden, because I think constantly my heart's going out to people who are in
Yeah.
apartments or in smaller rooms.
Right.
It was bad enough in the beginning, get used to being stuck in the house.
Yeah.
But with the garden, and you can walk around, it's fine. And a lot of
Yeah.
people are stuck in much smaller things, and their families sometimes stuck in a room.
Yeah,
I don't know how
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
It
It's
really makes you blessings instead
of
of just
course.
looking up, you count your blessings.
Of
Also, because you're still, you learn to give more gratitude. And truly,
yeah.
because the stores and the factory was shut,
Hmm.
and because it was for everybody, there was no guilt. You just sat down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd never do this if it was only us. But it was
Absolutely.
because everyone was stuck in the same position, no one cared.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, I'm perpetually suffering from mom guilt or an entrepreneurial guilt. If I'm in office, I want to come back home to my kids. If I'm at home, I want to go to the office. So
Yeah.
this is, I mean,
Has this taught you to use technology more effectively?
yes,
Has this taught you to use technology more effectively? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
never even heard of Zoom before this lockdown began. I mean,
Oh
I'm used to people
God.
typing everything. So I've learned a lot
Yeah.
of things.
But it would have made our life so much simpler, no? Had we used all this earlier. Sorry, not chugging, but like going from one place to another in Delhi traffic for meetings. Had we just done this earlier, don't you think it would have been simpler? I'm grateful for this also, to in a way.
Yes, of course, you've learned how to use technology. And so,
Yeah.
while there are a lot of dying meetings that
Yeah.
can't happen like this, but certainly any meeting like this, I mean, we use the phone a lot.
Yeah.
And I guess people have video calls, won't quite the same thing. But like after this, I have a meeting with 8 people from the factory and from the store managers, and I'll be able to
Yeah.
see them all.
Absolutely.
And of course, when people refuse to turn on their screen, that they haven't bothered to get dressed or something. It's quite funny. But
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
so I think that it's important to know that we've been forced to learn new things.
Mm-hmm.
We've been forced to evaluate. We've been forced to think about the planet.
Of
As a
course.
designer, I'm forced to think about what is it that I really love doing, because I was given a chance to stand back instead of just someone saying, "Look, you need to do this, you need to do this," or "We're missing this category." We had
Mm,
become a bit like filling categories,
of
and
course.
something had moved out of the artistic space. So all this has been fantastic to look at and think and really rejig.
Of course. Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think that's the positivity, at least in my case,
Yeah.
and I feel this would have never happened otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about the aftermath, the
Yeah.
shrinking market, the level of joblessness that I'm anticipating, which is horrific because there is no other job. It's not like, sometimes people lose a job, well, you go back into the job market. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be no job. It's zero. And
It is scary, Mr. Dailani. There's no doubting that. But while I was reading up on you, and I don't know whether you know this, but the fact that I'm into fashion and the fact that I'm into the merchandising of fashion is all thanks to you. You're the one
how
who
come?
so
I
when
remember
I
meeting you were starting something,
yes.
and I said, "My God, I should have just kept her to be my marketing manager. She's so on the ball." Now that I just
Oh,
stop replying to messages because too many people are messaging all the time, so I said, "I'll forget it."
I did apply straight out of college. I remember coming to your Mehroli office. I think somewhere close to
Oh,
Ambavata, if I'm not mistaken, or
mhm.
one style. I remember coming there, and as is the case with all your spaces, first of all, I think I blew my interview because I was just so taken in by the space. It was so beautiful. I'd never seen a more beautiful office in my life. It was stunning.
Really?
And when I was graduating, or from the time that I think must have been my first year of college, 2003, if I'm not mistaken. That is when you did your first show in Milan, if I'm not, is that right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what is this? Will I ever reach? I mean, will I ever even come close to that level of talent? And then I realized that the Marwari genes kicked in. I was like, let's just, concentrate on selling.
Because you were doing jewelry, and I remember there was that beautiful bracelet I loved.
Yes.
Which, that's
and
how
you were so kind. You were so kind.
It's always good to be kind. Everyone's got a struggle. If you were lucky to make it upstream, then I always say be kind and helpful and give people good advice. What does it cost you? You get a good karma for it, and you help people make the right decision. So I think you are doing quite well, and I think you are reaching your own levels of excellence, and you fulfilled a very important need in creating the secondary outlet market and a conduit for designers to sell their products, because nobody has 100% sell-through. Unless, of course, now they're going to switch more to taking orders, so then you'll have stock. And you've done well by it, and you're pumping it out. I see you.
Thank
you. You're now going to different cities as well.
So we did different cities last year.
I think that now you'll have more events. You're getting stuck. I mean, it's freezing.
Yeah. Just a second.
I think
Is it the internet? 1 second. Can you just check?
It must be. It seems to be okay right now.
Yeah. So we did we did a bunch of cities last year, and it did really, really well. And this year the plan was to go international, and obviously like everybody else, we're stuck. We had it all mapped out and everything.
Anyway, for Indian cities.
Sorry?
I said focus on the Indian cities, because Indians are the biggest market, and Indians will now travel for a while, because people are not going to get on a plane unless they feel it's necessary. All this just up and down. It's for a long time till there's a cure or a vaccine. People are not going to put them in a position where they're going to be next to other people if they don't have to be.
Absolutely.
So, Mudita, you got frozen again.
God, this technology is, I think, you have to adapt to it, but I think it's kind of working against us as well these days. It's so annoying.
Well, it's
just a second. Okay.
So you'll edit all these
we'll edit all this
gaps out.
Yeah, we'll edit it all. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to ask you is that when you started, I know we're really concerned about the shrinking markets and the income part of it, the people getting laid off and all of that. But when you started, was there even a market like 25 years back? Or
well, I started the Tarun Tahiliani label 25 years back. By that time, a market had been established. We started on SOM in 1987.
Right.
And in 1987, it's not there wasn't a market, but there were no big, beautiful stores. So people were used to pressure buying. So either they bought saris from sari shops, but because a lot of people had started liking to wear shalwar kameez, and it was not such a Western market, all this would happen in exhibition come sales in a gallery. So, in Bombay or down Breach Candy or Bandra, there are all these galleries, which are like 2 rooms, and people would run in. And there was sometimes no fitting room. You'd have to try clothes over your clothes, which is ridiculous. That's why clothes never fit properly. And then they take it home, A lot of very jhalla, loose fashion happened at that time, I think when SOM opened, there was sticker shock, and also people used to feel it's too empty because you're used to coming into places crammed with merchandise. And this was a very Western, that there was beautifully displayed and on tea stands and mannequins. And the original ensemble was even more sparse,
Yeah.
And of course, economics also to fill the rights a bit more.
Of course.
And because when you divide the shop with so few pieces, then the overheads of the shop are carried on fewer pieces, and then the price goes up to cover your costs. But so there were some learnings in the beginning. But slowly, as people got used to it, then you never can go back to shopping in that. Now people say, don't even come to a sale because we can't bear a sale. If you can afford it, I'd rather shop at full price. I'd rather try things beautifully. I'd rather get the first selection. So, there are different stages in the evolution. At that time, even a Mrs. Godrej, anyone had to come in and scramble. Then once these sort of stores opened and designers were then looked at as doing, better quality work, and people were experimenting with styles that the tailor couldn't make. They started using designers for special occasions. Then designers started doing more ready to wear. Then Fashion Week began, and Fashion Week was promoting and that made it, acceptable. And so now there's a huge industry of designers at the top and many designers in between, and many boutiques that don't do a bad job copying things, but you can get. I mean, a good design goes up and down the length and breadth of this country.
Of course, of course, of course.
But so it happens everywhere. So, now there's much better clothing available at every price point. There's still a lot of, Indians like a lot of embroidery. And if you don't pay, then you get bad quality embroidery. So I see a lot of bad quality embroidery on casual things. But now, it is what it is.
Yeah, it
I
is.
never understood that because people wear such simple Western clothes that are beautiful, whether they're from a Zara, from a designer, high street brand. But then suddenly when they come Indian, want all this embroidery, and there's nothing worse than wearing bad quality. Wear something simple and be elegant. But, there's no excuse for bad quality, if you have the money and you like to look a certain way. I mean, wearing big diamonds doesn't make up for bad quality. But, everyone's got to fit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mr. Tahiliani, I think we're having connection trouble again.
But the younger generation and the millennials don't want to die.
Yeah. Sorry, the millennials?
And this younger generation buy less, don't want to wear big jewelry because they don't think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
And they have grown up with clothes that are cut well, and they always want fitted things. So they buy clothes that fit well and hang better. So either they're absolutely casual with their shorts and they don't care. But when they wear something, they normally wear something that has a tailored elegance to it. I still find some of these kids will still wear some really weird Indian things because they're not developed their Indian sensibility. A lot of people now only Indians to a puja or a wedding, So I think maybe that now will change. I hope.
Of course. So the thing that I have by learning out of this is that when we come out of a lockdown, we'll have a clearer and a more in tune market. People would have, I'm hoping, a lot more clarity on what they want to spend, how they want to spend, and where they're spending. There's going to be a lot of conversation about the quality of fashion that they're spending in, and not just fast fashion. That is what I feel is I'm looking forward to at the end of the lockdown.
I also think that as people are going out less, as they will socialize less, and it'll be more casual or more house-driven because public gatherings will not be allowed for a while and stuff. Then they carry a very good quality bag. And if we make it fashionable to not wear things once, you see, in the last few years, people don't want to repeat something if they put it on their Instagram or put it on a friend's Instagram or someone's posted one picture. And really, that's such a shallow value system because then how will you ever wear anything good quality? I mean, do you change your diamond? Do you change your ring? You repeat the same bag? So I don't know where this folly has come from, and I suspect also it's because actresses here never repeat a thing. I wish somebody was cool enough to do it, but they never repeat it. So they're being dressed by stylists, they're not buying those clothes. So badly now they're even borrowing things to walk through the airport, so they never photograph in the same bag. I mean, it's such an absurd value system. If I saw someone who was, I'm not going to take names, but there's some super elegant women in the city who can afford anything, and they'll carry that one bag till it's chugged, except when they go at night, except when I go move my stuff. I have this beautiful bag and I'll carry it every day.
Yeah.
They haven't let fashion consume them where their self-worth is not consumed or not defined, even their head where it starts, by having a different Birkin every day. In fact, they think that's tacky, that represents a tacky value system. It's okay, in the 50s and 60s and before, women were not working, they were not doing other things. So they sat at home and they matched their outfit and their jewelry and their shoes and their bags. That was what a lot of society women did. But now all my friends are working and running amazing corporations and doing amazing courses and study abroad and, are working with charities. Their life is not about matching a bag to something every day. They're functional, elegant things. And that's the new woman. So she will buy quality because she will repeat it like men do. They'll buy quality because they will wear it 20 times, 100 times.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't want women to become that boring. But if you buy quality, I was with some friends yesterday, China, who's beautiful, and she said, listen, I've got about over 100 TTs, but I take them out from 20 years back and I rewear them because the quality is so good. They feel good even today. That's what I want to hear. For me, that is sustainable. We keep talking about sustainable, that you buy things that are lovely and you value them. And you don't just fill cupboards to show people that you can wear something new every day. You know, women like the reaction. They dress up for each other. It's not necessarily for the men. It's women that
It's
will
never for the men.
appreciate. Yeah, it's never for the men, right? I learned that long back in this wonderful film which Melina Mercury was playing herself. And she said this in the end. But the fact is that, you know, I can understand you don't want to repeat it, you know, you get a kick, you get a bit of a buzz, that's fine. Yeah. But now, you know, this Instagram ruined everything because you go to 10 other places, people have seen you. Now you have to be confident enough and say my self-worth is not based only what I put on my body. And so someone's seen something in I'm so American in another city, another group of friends, it's fine. It's actually very cool. In the climate today, the overall climate, and everyone's reflected on this and they've talked ad nauseum, and everyone has now finally felt that seeing the world regenerate, the earth, and there's a virus, rich or poor affected by it, doesn't matter, it'll jump boundaries, it'll jump oceans, it'll jump anywhere it wants. The fact the British Prime Minister went into ICU, you know, of course, he was being a hero and shaking everyone's hand at a point. So maybe, you know, he was a good example of what not to do. And luckily, he's lived to tell the tale. Yeah. But there's also another issue, which is that, you know, we've watched the planet and what's in 40 days. I mean, look at the city we live in. I found Delhi exquisite. We're in May. I still walk outside. It's hot in the day, but it's been beautiful. The spring was amazing. It was cool. There were breezes. There's no pollution. The sky is blue. And you're in love with the city. That's why we moved here. Yeah. And, you know, it's not possible if people consciously say now, I'll commute half the time and I'll work from the house half the time or whatever, do it responsibly. We have to stop this kind of traffic and pollution and, you know, degradation of our environment. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be that easy till people change things like no pet, no plastic, no, you know, we have to make rules.
Yeah, one has to make lifestyle decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that we all have been selfish, you know. One country will consume what it wants and say it's not my problem. Indians are famous. They'll throw their garbage outside the house is sparkling. The outside your house is also ours. This is our street, our city, our country. And the pollution and dirt and poison will come back to bite us all. We keep walking up and down and begging people, please, please do not burn leaves. So a very kind neighbor has now picks up everyone's leaves and he composts it for them and says you can even take the manure back. But it shouldn't have to be that someone does. Yeah. I mean, there's this big house nearby and this guy outside and I'm like, why are you burning the leaves? Well, they put the guard outside this massive house on the street. They've not even given him a boot and he's burning leaves to keep the mosquitoes away. So I sent him with the driver Odomos.
That's bizarre.
I mean, people won't buy their stuff. So they burn leaves, you know. These are simple things we have to think about. Sensitivity is the first.
Yeah. The saddest thing would be to come out of this entire thing unchanged. If we as
go back to
that'll be horrific. That'll be horrific. So, Mr. Tahiliani, one more thing. Okay. So, I know that sketching and draping sparks a lot of joy in you. What are the other things that spark joy?
Well, I love putting colors together. You mean in fashion or otherwise?
Anything, whatever it is that brings you joy.
Well, I love to travel. I'm a travel freak. Mm-hmm. I go all over, anywhere I'll go. I'm a museum freak. I'll go to any museum. I'll get up at 5 in the morning. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I love beautiful things. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than nature, as we know. So I'm quite a traveler. I've been diving in the Pacific Ocean. I go flying through all microlights through Africa. I land in the middle of nowhere and walk on beaches that you don't see a single soul.
I know.
You just see, you know, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I love seeing old temples. The problem is that now Indian towns are a nightmare, but because of our population and the traffic, but the countryside is still beautiful in India.
Yeah, it's stunning.
I don't mind driving around, And of course, museums everywhere. Architecture, I love architecture. So I'll walk for hours to look at buildings because we have a home design division. And actually, I wanted to be an architect, not a fashion designer, but you had to do physics and chemistry, which I'm afraid I didn't understand. So you don't need it anymore, but back then you did. So I didn't do architecture. I like the permanence of it. Yeah. So these are the things I love. I'm not one, I'm too old. I go to the theater a lot. When I'm abroad, I go every evening to the theater or a
You've dabbled in theater as well, right?
I mean, very briefly, when I was bored. Before I got into fashion, because I need to do something creative. I hated
Right.
just doing an office job. And
Yeah.
so I did 2, 3, but my wife told me very kindly that I'm one of the worst actors and I really must give it up. But it was great fun. And you met some wonderful people. And you know what was nice with theater was that you came back and you used to rehearse in the evenings after work. And it was a non-financial activity and everyone was there for the love of it.
Right.
But you know, these were plays put up all over India in professional theaters. But that's how the theater scene is here. It was great. The people were wonderful. We laughed a lot. Pearl Padamsi was a great theater director. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I like to do. I used to play the piano. I mean, I've stopped for the time being because I don't have time to practice. And I like working with fabrics.
Yeah.
And I use embroidery, but fabric and draping is much more beautiful to my eye than just embroidery. Just so much of Indian fashion has become. And if I see somebody who is in beautiful embroidery but can't walk because of the weight and can't move, well, nothing's beautiful then.
Yeah.
Then you're telling me you're going to stand there like a cupboard in the middle of the room, something.
Yeah.
So anyway, Indian girls are getting smarter and everyone wants things to be comfortable. Everyone wants things to be possibly used again. So you're not going to use something if you're miserably uncomfortable, So I think everything's changing and coming into its own. And like we were discussing before, I think the lockdown has given a lot of people time to reflect. And sometimes we all need a forced slow down because otherwise you're just on a treadmill. You keep going. And it's breathless, but you don't have to stop. And really, by the time you come out of this lockdown, we'll have spent almost 40 days, and that's the amount of time you take to reset a habit.
Yeah.
So that's great. I wish I had thought about resetting my eating habits, but actually sitting at home, everyone's eating more. It's terrible. That's the one big tragedy of the lockdown.
It's okay. I told you even in our previous chat that I have genuinely given up. I'm like, at least food is like a basic. It's the most basic luxury, and today if we have that, one, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for all the stuff that's made at home. I genuinely am, even though I can eat out 14 times a week. But at the same time, I feel it's okay. Whatever has to happen will happen. Might as well enjoy the food along the way. It's okay. Yeah.
It is. It's you eat for hunger, you eat for the taste, you eat because it feels good, it's comfort, it's a stress buster, so many things,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So, Mr.
But we have to live how to remove stress from our lives.
Yeah.
So in a way, this has kind of brought in a forced detachment.
Yeah.
Because you're so helpless that there's nothing you can do. So you may as well be detached and still enjoy your days. And I've enjoyed some days a lot, and there's some days I haven't been able to get into that state.
Yeah,
because
but that's
you're
human, huh?
Yeah, it is human, and we are human, but it is.
Yeah. And lastly, I want to ask you, what made you trust me and Warehouse when I gave the idea to you? I mean,
well,
grateful.
I don't think I met you before, but we had dealt over. I wanted to get that bracelet, it never happened. Then when I wanted it, had sold, and but then I know Sal's very fussy, and I didn't want to go. So ordering something, and she tries it.
Yeah.
You were very professional. You were a young kid. You were very professional. I thought it was a good idea, and you go with your instinct for people, and you do things well, and you do things professionally. So I mean, it's something that you have to encourage people. If everyone says no to everything, how will anything new develop? Right?
Yeah.
There was a day when I was out there going from door to door, knocking with people and saying, I have an idea. I want to start the store called Ensemble. It's going to be based like Henry Bendel's in New York, where you have different designs on the floors. And there were people who trusted the idea, That's how we started. Invest in the stock. Yeah. And you don't do that going forward. How does life, someone did that for you, you do that for somebody else. It's how life moves.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much that you trusted in me then. And thank you so much for your trust in me now. Touch wood while I'm saying that. And to many, many anniversaries to you. I believe you completed 25 years this year.
Well, 25 years since we started Tarun Tahiliani, the label. We started before, but it was under a different name. Yeah. And we were more focused on Ensemble. And we were doing a wonderful book to come out this year, and a perfume, and the big launch the big celebration was in August. But now everything's on hold, and it'll happen when it has to happen.
Never mind. You're going to come back bigger.
It'll happen when it has to happen. Yeah. We've got greater gifts from this slowdown. I just don't want people to starve. I tell you, that's my only worry now. Anyway, with all our collective, we shall all hope for the best.
Yes.
Thank you, Mudita. See you
Thank
soon. Take
you
care.
so much. You're way, way, way too kind. Thank you. Bye bye.